JCLady.
Hi there, this is Joanna, and today we are going to talk about the ancient grammar, and Polish is the example of an ancient language, and its grammar is, of course, the example of an ancient grammar. I'm continuing. This is the fourth series. It's entitled Comparative Grammar. You will find it on my YouTube channel. Go and subscribe there, please. And today I will be talking about moods. You say moods, mode in French. Now, first, because this is the comparison, I will tell you what is now in grammar. In Polish grammar now, we've got three moods. We've got indicative, which is called orzekający. We've got imperative, which is called rozkazujący, it's an order. And we've got przypuszczający, which is conditional. And we've got one or maybe two sometimes. Depends on the grammar book. But basically there are three moods. And now I want to go back to the definition. Now, I already talked about moods, and to go back to that video about the ancient grammar, I will say it at the end of this video as a conclusion. Now, let's take the definition from Latin. Mod, mood, which in Polish is tryb. It's not exactly the same, but your name, mood, and French mod, it's from modus, Latin, and it means the way you describe or structure your verb, how you talk about your action or state. Basically, that's it. Now, different languages understand it differently. For example, in French, mode, they have, I'm saying they've got all the big bazaar, but I guess it's a little from Latin, because they understand that mod, it's like a form of a verb, special form, but also the way we describe the action. Now, that's not the same. It cannot be two of that, right? That's a little too much of mixture. But when you look at what is the mood in French, mode, it's like if forms, infinitive, participe, gerundive, like infinitive, like the most basic form, and on that are based the other forms, like in conjugations, right? Then participe, that's just a form, and then you've got gerundive, and it's another form, right? For when you've got simultaneous actions, you use it. And then you learn that you also have for moods, the proper moods, moods like indicative, conditional, subjunctive, and imperative. So I say that in French it's a little too much mixture, because forms are not really moods. Anyway, in English you've got, that's a little better, I think, but maybe also it differs in different grammar books. But normally, usually you've got for moods, indicative, conditional, subjunctive, which is your modal verbs, meaning how you describe the wish, will, and imperative, and often question. Now, I'm saying always that some people say there was some Proto-Indo-European language. Well, nobody knows exactly if and how it looked like and what it was. Now, we in Poland, and it's been centuries that knowledge was built, right? Talked about. And there were discoveries, like between the connections between Sanskrit and Polish, also other different, like Lithuanian even, but Polish is really very complex and full in grammar. It's mixed up, but really full, if you see it. And the connection between Polish grammar based, and Sanskrit is big. And I say that, I mean, not only I, that all other researchers, that Proto-Indo-European, in fact, it was some language of those people, Aryas, basically, and from them came, they were basically Proto-Slavic and this Asian part, meaning those who went to India and created Sanskrit. What does it mean? That Proto-Indo-European, basically, today we can say that the example of it, the most full, is Slavic, a Slavic language, and Polish is the fullest in that, because in grammar and vocabulary it's got most, and Sanskrit. All right, that's not all the languages. Like, it's not really Latin. Latin is like Polish, and Sanskrit it's like that. Then Latin it will be this much, maybe. Okay. Anyway, and then other languages like Western Europe. They are too mixed up. What I'm saying is that English and Germanic languages were on the border. Slavic and Asian, like those Aryan Asian, and on the West post-Latin, and North. And in grammar, English grammar, often there is order, such as in Slavic, Polish, because it was the closest to Polish language. That's why you don't have the idea that the mood is a form. That normally you don't say that mood is infinitive. Usually you say that the mood is indicative, conditional, subjunctive, and imperative, and question, meaning you can say this questioning. And in Sanskrit you've got also those moods, and but there are more of them. It depends, of course. Sanskrit also is mixed up, but normally we should say that the mood, there are 7 of them. Okay, but coming from the beginning, when you talk about the verb, you just need to position yourself, like what idea you talk about, like what are you talking really about. Because the verb is the basic. One verb makes your sentence, your manifestation. So, moods are on the top. It's your full expression. And the mood, it's your question. Meaning, first, there is silence. Now, you want to speak. So, your first question is, what will be the mood? Meaning, why you want to speak, what do you want to obtain, that's your goal. Okay, so that's the mood, and there are 7 of them. Then the next one is time, like what time dimension, when was the action you want to talk about. Then aspect, how exactly this action was done, or the state, the description exactly. And then we've got conjugations, which are a part of aspects, in fact. And in aspects and conjugations, there are those forms, meaning infinitive will be somewhere in the aspect conjugation, because this is the entrance form for all the conjugations. For aspects, the participle is a form used for the aspect, for example, passive active. The gerund is it's an aspect used, for example, for simultaneous, talking about simultaneous actions. That's it. But you cannot mix it. No, because otherwise there is a big mess, no logic in grammar. According to ancient grammar, and that's how it is in Polish, even if it's not named exactly, there are 7 moods. And I talked about it, so it will be short. Indicative, it's your statement. How is the reality? Then you've got demanding, like a question or request. That's your question. But the question is a request always. practically. Then there's an order, and then there is another mood, subjunctive, meaning your will, expressing the will, wishes, and then there are 3 conditionals. Okay, and you're expressing your doubts, or like what is the condition so that something can happen. I talked about it. Here are the moods, and those are the moods, the mode, the tryby, and that's it. Not the forms, and the definition is also like I said. Why are you speaking? What's your goal? That's what the mood tells you, and your goal must be one of 7. Usually you are just describing. Okay, that's it from me. And remember that the language manifests your world.